The weird and ugly things that sell on eBay video was so popular, I decided to follow up with a second video where I'm going to show even more weird and ugly items that are selling for big money. If you're new here, then I want to welcome you to the channel. My name is Lee Meyer. I'm a stay-at-home mom of four, and I've made well over $100,000 flipping used clothes and other items on sites like eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. So now my mission is to help at least 1,000 resellers be able to hit that $100,000 mark for themselves. To help you out, I've got a ton of free goodies for you. Before we get started, I want to mention those. They are down here in the description below this video. This is where you're going to find things like my best brands list, the list of 150 brands that has led me to the $100,000 mark and beyond. You're also going to find a link down there to sign up for my free $100,000 reseller challenge. In this free challenge, I show you exactly how to reach $100,000 for yourself this year. It's not about hustling harder. And I show you exactly how to get there in very minimal time, in very part-time hours. In that free challenge, you're also going to discover the very best things to be selling right now in today's market. All right, so let's go ahead and dive on into these weird and ugly things that are selling right now on eBay. All right, this first item that we're looking at is a fur. Now, there were lots of furs selling as I was going through this research, but this is the only one I'm going to show because that's not really the focus of this. But I did have to show this item just because it has these huge balls all across the neckline of the item. This one sold for $425 with one bid on it. This next one is a Betty Boop. There were several of these that I came across that were selling for a few $100s. Now, the one that you're looking at here is from Sugar Street Weavers. So this is a vintage brand that is known for their woven designs. And this one sold for $200. But there's lots of Betty Boop that are selling for a few $100s. This is a very interesting item from the designer Michael Simon. And this is basically a chain link sweater. So here's what it looks like without anything on the underside of that. And that one sold for $419. This is basically kind of like the paper chain links that you may have made as a kid and put on your tree, but just a sweater version of that. This is a pair of pants from the brand Magnolia Pearl. So these do have some birds on them as well as some large flowers. Those sold for $449. There's lots from this brand. It just depends on, what your style is, what you would wear. Don't just stick to items that you would personally wear yourself. There's lots of other items selling. Now, I did pull this other item up to be able to show you the tag from Magnolia Pearl if you haven't seen that one before. This is a polar bear jacket, and this is from a brand from out of Norway. There's what the tag looks like. This has polar bears all over it, and it went for $424. This is a comic print button-up shirt, and the didn't really sell for, $399 because of the brand. So there's the brand tag there, Langtree, but it really sold because of that design and what is featured on it. So $399 for that one. I did put in Nikki Zahn, which I believe is the designer. Let me know in the comments if you happen to know. I did not get a chance to go super deep. I did look up other items from this same brand, and they're not selling for hardly anything at all. So, we're talking $20, $30 for most of other items from that same brand. This is a brand that is from the 70s called Roncelli. So there's the tag there. And this one sold for $450. It does have some hand painted designs on it. So they're on the front. There is a flower design, and then on the back, there's kind of a farm scenery. So $450 for that. Here's a few other items from that same brand, approximately out of the 70s for that brand. This is a skirt from a designer called Vivian Tam. So there's the brand tag there. That one sold for $468. This is from that same designer with a big dragon across the front of it. That one went for $450. I did go ahead and look up other items from this same brand, and you can see that there's a lot that have that kind of face design that are selling for a few $100s. This one went with 19 bids on it for $285. So definitely a bolo if you come across that brand. This one has animals on it. Now, a lot of the items that you're going to see with these weird and ugly items are sweaters. They just really lend themselves to unique designs. All kinds of all kinds of animals on this sweater. And this one went for $175. Now, this is from a designer called Susie Lee. So there's the brand tag there. It is hand knit. It does say British Colony of Hong Kong on it. It's got a deer on the front as well as a forest in the background. That one went for $475. Here's another Betty Boop item. So there's the front of that jacket as well as the back. $475 for that one. This is a poodle sweater. It does have a little bit of a flaw there. It's from a brand called Bonnie Togs and kind of a cute item. This one went for $475. There's the tag there on that. By the way, all of these are sold items. You'll see that down there at the bottom. You'll also notice that it says or best offer. Now, when a best offer is accepted, there is a strike through the price, as well as it says best offer was accepted. And I will always show you how much they actually sold for. I do have a video I will link to up here where you can see the process to be able to find out how much a best offer was accepted, when that happens. This is a brand that's called Any Old Iron. There's what that looks like from Nashville. And with this, there's a kind of a rainbow color to this, stars as well as fringe underneath both arms. That one went for $490. And I did go ahead and look up that brand. There were a few other items that were selling for, close over the $100 mark. So definitely, be on the lookout, but it is a little bit more of a rare brand to come across. Now, this is an unbranded item that is handmade that has fish on it. That one sold for $500. This is from Ralph Lauren, a patchwork style dress. I think this one's actually pretty cute. There's what that looks like, and that one sold for $499. You can see all of the patchwork there on that. This one is a really interesting one. It's called Ripple Junction Nyan Cat, is I'm assuming how you say that. It's got the rainbow stripe down the bottom and then as well as that cat hood with the ears. This one did have one bid on it for $500. Now I did look this up. There was one other item that was the same that sold for $425. This is a brand of shoe that's called Irregular Choice. Now they do make bags, but they primarily make shoes. Here's what the front of the shoes look like. And then it's got a panda mother and baby there on the back for the heel. Those sold for $375. This is another handmade sweater with a bowling design on it. That one sold for $175. This is from a brand called Art. Here across the back it says the art feel, I believe is what this says, or feel the art. And then there on the tongue of the shoe, it says art. Those went for $85. Definitely a kind of unique pattern with those. This is another item from Irregular Choice. This one's over on Poshmark, and this one has Snow White and the dwarf's house on it is the shoe. Those went for $270. This is over on eBay. This is that same brand, Irregular Choice, and this is from the Muppets. There's what the bottom of the shoes looks like. So the bottom of the shoes are actually part of the style, part of the design of the shoes. Here on the inside, that's where you're going to see the brand name where it says Irregular Choice, as well as if they did a collaboration with any other brand like these with this pair was with Muppets and Disney. So that one had one bid on it for $375, but there's lots of this same exact Muppets shoe that are selling for a few $100s on eBay as well as Poshmark. Now, I do want to take a second to invite you to the Empowered Reseller membership program. This is where I'm able to personally connect with members. It's where I'm able to answer questions. I even do things like store reviews, account reviews, listing reviews, live trainings on a monthly basis, as well as we have a supportive community to give you that accountability that you need to have success. You also get access to a huge course master vault. You'll find the link in the description below this video to be able to sign up and join the community, join the membership, and I hope to be able to welcome you into it soon. Now, this is another Michael Simon sweater, and this is kind of a granny square design to this. You can see there's flowers at the center of most of those. There's the tag there. That sweater went for $349. This is another irregular choice over on Poshmark. I had to show another one of these, and there's lots of these selling. This has a dragon or dinosaur or Godzilla or something here on the back of that heel. It's got these rainbow buckles across the ankle. That one went for $505. Now, this is new in the box, but even if you come across this in used condition, it is a definite bolo. This is a pair of jeans from Jinko, and these are actually a women's pair. Most of what they make are men's. And this one has the red squiggle down the front of both legs. Those sold for $350, and I did see a few from with that style selling for around that much. This is a brand that's called Mr. Blackwell, but this one really sold more for the design of the item. So you can see it's kind of a rainbow stripe blazer jacket. That one went for $360. Here's a few other items from that same brand. There's a couple here, for 300 plus dollars, but these down here, you're talking 30, $40. So it's really about the style. This is an unbranded item that is a dragonfly corset. So there's the front of it, and then there's the lace up on the back. Again, this is unbranded, and that one went for $375. This is an art to wear item. This one's got San Francisco painted on the back of it. There's what the front looks like. There's a tag here made in the USA. There's not a brand tag, unfortunately, with this one. There are shoulder pads, so that is an indication that this is an older item. And that one sold for $350. This is from Donnybrook, and this is a graphic face design to this jacket. There's lots of these selling. This one sold for $350, but I did go ahead and pull up this brand, and it's mostly just that graphic face design that's selling for quite a bit. Once you scroll down, we're down under $100 for this brand. Now, this is another Michael Simon item, and this one has frogs on it. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on those frogs. Definitely a unique design, gold frogs on this one. Here's what that tag looks like there. That one went for $359. Now, this is a brand that is called The Great. Here's a picture at the neckline of that. And this is a newer brand. This is not a vintage brand. This one has sailboat sweaters on it. There's what the back looks like. And then that one sold for $378. This is definitely a bolo brand. If you do come across this, these are some other items. We're talking $200 plus for a lot of these items is what they're selling for this brand. Now, this is another unbranded item. This is beautiful, just sequin beadwork, but definitely, would have to take the right person to come across this. And that's where keywords come in. So you're going to notice here in the title, they used Regency and Gatsby. And I think both of those fit this item really, really well, as well as glam. That one went for $400. They definitely use some really good keywords in this listing, like Regency and Gatsby and glam, and it fits this item so well. And that's really what gets your items in front of the right buyers. Now, I do have a keyword poster that covers all of those aesthetic style-based keywords. This makes it super simple to write up title descriptions in a matter of seconds and have those keywords in your listings that are going to get them found and sold. So I'm going to link to that resource over here. This next item is another Michael Simon item that was a collaboration with Disney. So there's the Disney tag there, and it has Mickey and Minnie there on the front of it. That one went for $400. While we're on the topic of Mickey, I did have to show one Gucci item. There are lots of ugly items from big name designers, but I do try and stay away from these big brands like Gucci because they're a little bit more rare to come across. But I did have to show this one because it just has that kind of contrast, conflicting colors. And that one went for $395. Now, this is from a brand that is called Hat Wise. Here's what the tag looks like. These are upcycled items. And this one, they're going to have a lot of layering, ruffles, as well as a pointed hood on a lot of these. This one went for $389. And here's a few other items that are Catwise inspired, but you can see they have that similar look and they're selling for quite a bit for those. Now, this is a brand that's called Libertine, and it's handmade in America. With this one, there's a Campbell's soup here across the front. It says sensitive soup. There's some other interesting things like a balloon poodle down here at the bottom. That one sold for $399. This is other items from that same brand. So there's a few other kind of what I would call ugly mixed in here, that jacket there, blazer, and then the shirt here. And, pretty good price if you happen to come across that brand. This is a robe from the Canyon group. So there's what the tag looks like. This one happens to have a cat on the back of it as well as flowers. That one sold for $395, but there's lots from this brand selling for a few $100s. This is another Ralph Lauren item. It's from the line Ralph Lauren Country. This is a quilted patchwork style cardigan sweater. That one went for $400. This is a really interesting sweater, and it's from the brand called the Eagle's Eye. So here's the tag there for you. The back of it has the clue pieces on it, and then the front of it has the different rooms from the game Clue, the billiard room, conservatory, the library, the study. Those are all there on the front, and then that sold for $400. This is from that same brand, the Eagle's Eye. This is a Welch's Concord grape jelly sweater. There's the back of it. Front of it has grapes down the front and a jelly jar there at the bottom. That one went for $250. This is a Crayola crayons box version from that same brand. That one sold for $250. I did have to pull up other items from the same brand just because they're so unique. So you've got Campbell's Soup, you got Ritz crackers, Chips Ahoy. There's a few Monopoly sweaters down here. Those went for $95, but here we're talking $200 for these Ritz and Chip Ahoy sweaters. This is from the designer Susie Lee. We looked at one of these items, I believe earlier, that's from Kent, England. This was a farm countryside on it with some sheep. That one went for $400. This is from a brand that's called Mighty Fine. This is a zip up hoodie with a monster face on it. One sold for $400. And if you come across this brand, these are a few of the other items that are selling, but they're definitely unique. Definitely take the right person. You can see how much these items are selling for. We're talking, $80, $140, $275 there. This is another Michael Simon item that was seen on The Nanny. And this is the tag there, a little bit different than some of the Michael Simon items we looked at earlier. And it has all kinds of dogs across the sweater, the front as well as the back. And that one went for $318. It did have 3 bids on that there. So I did want to point that out, that there were people that were bidding that one up. This is another Ralph Lauren item. This is another kind of patchwork to design, a vest. That one sold for $300. I do also want to point out that it is an extra, extra small. So even if you do come across some of these more unique or rare or weird or ugly items that are super small sizes, go ahead and pick them up because they are, one of a kind items and there are demand for those. This is another dog design sweater from a different company called Design Options. So there's the tag there. There's the back of the sweater. It looks like one dog on the back and then several here on the front with a little bit longer fur on some of them. That one's got a bow. And then that one sold for $300. This is from Ed Hardy, and a lot of these Ed Hardy designs are maybe more towards ugly sided, but it does depend on your style. This one looks like it has maybe a Black Panther across the front of it with some huge claws. Not the best pictures with this listing. There's Ed Hardy down the arm of that item to give you an idea of what the brand tag looks like with this. And then that one sold for $295. This is Betty Boop, but it's baby Betty Boop. So there's what the tag looks like. It says baby Boop, but it is an adult item. This is not a child's item. And there's the front of that. And then here's what the back looks like. It says Sleepy Time. And then that one sold for $300. This is from a brand that I'm not super familiar with. So there's the brand tag there, and it does have a horse on it with longer yarn there for the mane and the tail, as well as horseshoes. That one went for $310. This is another Western style design. Some good keywords here of cowboy, cowgirl, rockabilly. That one went for $325. That is an unbranded sweater. Now, this is from a brand that's called Roosevelt. Here's what that looks like. It's all the vowels are missing out of that. They do collaboration. So this is a collaboration with Pixar for the movie Monsters Inc. So you're going to see solely on that. That one sold for $325, but they really are based around pop culture and different movies. And I do cover that brand as well as a few other brands inside the pop culture keyword guide, as well as different keywords to be on the lookout for that people are looking for when it comes to pop culture, like celebrities, TV shows, movies. I'm going to link to that over here. Now, this next item is from a brand that's called Malbon Golf. I'm not exactly sure. There's the brand tag there, but definitely a more kind of unique item with this one. The arms do zip off, so you can see them zipped off there, as well as that. I don't know if it's a golf ball there on the back. That one went for $315. I did look up other items from this same brand. They're a little less unique and they did sell for, quite a bit less money. This is a pair of Wrangler jeans. So there's the tag on the inside of those on the fly. And those do have patches all up and down the front of those jeans. Those went for $350. This is another item from Ralph Lauren from their Ralph Lauren line. And this one has a dog sled team on it. That one went for $350. But there's lots of items from Ralph Lauren that have kind of these unique designs that people are after. This is another Michael Simon item that's a collaboration with Dr. Seuss, and this actually is the Grinch. So there's that design on the front. That one went for $350. This is another Magnolia Pearl, so there's the tag there, but I had to put this one because it's got a cat there at the center of the dress, flowers around it. It's got another cat down here, a couple more cats there at the bottom. That one sold for $348. This is a Patagonia Chinchilla, but this is a unique design with dragonflies. It's got a snail there. It's got maybe some caterpillars on it. I think I saw in another picture. Yeah, there's a caterpillar there. That one sold for $350. Now, a lot of people think of ugly Christmas sweaters, but really there are ugly sweaters for pretty much every single holiday out there. So this is a brand called Barrick, and this is maybe what you would call an ugly holiday sweater for St. Patrick's Day. So there's a leprechaun, rainbow, shamrocks. That one went for $325, and I did see a few of those selling. This is from Saks Fifth Avenue from a designer that I'm not familiar with. So there's the tag there, but it is beaded sequined cockatoos there on the front as well as the arm. That one went for $300, $299. This one's more probably towards the funny side than ugly. This is Juicy Couture. This is definitely a rare item, but these are selling for quite a bit. So this one went for $330 and it says ditch him. This one is Lady Lancaster, and this must be a quilter that makes these one-of-a-kind items. And this isn't any sort of huge brand. Here's her mark there on the inside of the item. That one went for $326. There was one other item that I saw sell. So here's the pattern of that one. And then that one has a different mark on the inside. That one went for $326. I did look up Lady Lancaster, and those two were the only items that I did come across. Now this is over on Poshmark, and I did have to show these. These are brand new out of the box, but these are kind of the distressed jean version for shoes. So you can see the wear of those. They're scuffing on the toes of these. I'll see if I can get a little bit better picture there of the scuffing on the toes. But these are literally brand new out of the box. So if you do come across these, go ahead and pick them up. It's called Golden Goose. And you're going to see here on the side, it says GGDB. This is that brand. Those sold for $300, and there's lots of these selling for that price point. All right, this one is Mickey Mouse all over these jeans. There's the front of them. Here's the back. And then those sold for $345. And these are from Levi's. There's a Levi's tag here as well as Too Cute. And you're going to see that is made in the USA. Again, $345 for that. This is a burlap coffee sack jacket. This is unbranded. That one sold for $295. This is another unique Levi's item that is upworked, recycled, reworked, cycled. whatever you want to call it. Those sold for $279. Now, this is a designer that's called Anne Arundel. It says made in Great Britain. It's a good reminder any items that are from Europe, they can tend to have a higher sale price, higher value. And this one went for $250 that for that cat. Now, you've probably noticed that a lot of these items that we're talking about are vintage, and it is one of the most lucrative categories to be selling in. It also means that you don't necessarily have to be tied down to just high-end brands. So I do have a complete guide to selling vintage clothing where I give 150 different brands and items to be on the lookout for. I'm going to link to that resource over here if that's something that you're interested in. This is another of Anne Arundel item. So there is the tag again. This is another cat sweater, and then that sold for $216. This is from Talbot's, and you will see that it is hand knit. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on the tag so you can see what this looks like. Most Talbot items don't sell for this much, but this one has sheep on it. By the way, they should have probably used a keyword in here for Princess Diana. There is a popular sweater, and there's lots of different variations of that selling, and I do cover things like that inside of the pop culture guide. Just a quick tip there. But this one sold for $295 even without using that keyword. This is another 1970s pants suit set. This one sold for $295, and this is an unbranded item. Now, this is from a brand called So Happy. This looks very much like that Mighty Fine item that we looked at earlier. It's got some scales down there on the back of that. That one sold for $300. It even has some dirt there at the sleeves as well as a large hole on it. This is another design options sweater. This one has a lighthouse design to that. And then that sold for $298. This is from the dress shop is what it says. There it is Disney, Disney Parks from the movie Up. And this one sold for $399. Cutest dress though, but it has the house there at the bottom and then all of the balloons that lifted the house up into the air. This is a handmade item that is unbranded, one of a kind, patchwork kind of poncho cape. That one went for $279. So if you come across unique items like that, which are more common than you think, go ahead and pick them up because there's going to be somebody out there who wants that. This is from a brand called Samantha Taylor. So you're seeing designed in England. Again, good reminder about those European countries. This one has a skater on the front or ballerina on the front. That one went for $299. This is a brand called Claire Barrow. So there's the tag there. There's the front of this. And here's what this looks like. It has aliens on it. And there's down the arms of this jacket. There's on the back what that looks like. Definitely takes the right person, but that one sold for $300. This is a Coogi sweater dress. Unfortunately, there's not a good tag picture with this one, but this went for basically $300. You can see some of the knitwork there on that sweater. This is a handmade item that is unbranded, and this one sold for $300. You can see the design here with this sweater, and that is handmade. This is a designer that I'm not familiar with, Vicky Teal, sold at Neiman Marcus. And I did look up this brand. There were not very many selling, for this price point. So it really did sell for the style of the items. You can see what that looks like there. And they did use some good keywords in here of log and look. I believe they spelled that wrong, as well as goth and layers. Again, $300 for that one. This is from a brand, I believe maybe Modi or Modi, something like that. But they have some very unique items. This one happens to have different kinds of balls on it. There's the front as well as the back. That one went for $300. Now, if you're just getting started with reselling, I want to mention the Ultimate Reseller Starter Kit real quick because that gives you everything you need to get up and running, bringing in your first sales. This is another item from that same brand. This one happens to have candy bars on it. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. So it's got M&Ms, it's got Nestle Crunch. That one went for $219. This is another one of their designs, lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. And this one sold for $275. Looks like an elephant and giraffe there on the front. And I did have to pull up other items. They all are, falling in what I would call ugly, unique, weird designs for most of their items. So definitely a bolo if you come across that brand. This is another robe from the Canyon group. So again, there's the tag. This one has moons and stars on it. And this one sold for $275. I'd love to know, what is the weirdest or ugliest thing that you have sold on eBay or another platform? Drop comments and I'd love to be able to hear from you. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that because I've got lots more amazing reseller content headed your way. And I'm going to link up here to that other weird and ugly video in case you haven't watched that yet. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will catch you in the next video soon.